Ichiro. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Monday, September 2nd, 2025. Hard to imagine Ichiro's the word of the day, but he is. Hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. My weekend was spent in Nagoya, Japan. Didn't miss a show, though, Coca. Left Friday after the show. For those of you on the live chat, Nothing Personal with David Samson, you'll remember we started an hour early on Friday so I could catch a plane. Went to Tokyo, then took a bus to a train, and Saturday night got to Nagoya. Woke up Sunday, went to the Nagoya Dome, and watched a game. A game between Ichiro and an all-star team that he put together that included Hideki Matsui. Yes, that's right, the former Yankee who lost the World Series in 03 to the Marlins, but of course got a ring in 09. Kaz Matsui, you remember him, Coca. God, he was supposed to be way better than he ended up being, but he really was a good player in Japan. Daisuke was there. Had not seen Daisuke in a long time, but he was hitting and playing left field. And these guys played a 9-inning game against the national girls team, high school girls, who throw 80 miles an hour with breaking balls. Full 9-inning game. Ichiro pitched a complete game one-hitter. And I was there from pregame. He got his Hall of Fame plaque postgame in the ceremony from the Japanese Hall of Fame. And he spoke to the girls on the team for 30 minutes privately, did interviews with them. 21,000 people in attendance. More people attended that game than watched Ichiro on many home games in Miami, much to my chagrin. What an honor to have seen him play on Sunday. The work Ichiro does, he still works for the Mariners. He's had a whirlwind summer. He works out every day. He threw 111 pitches, threw 82, 85 for 9 innings. He actually sat down and did an article with a friend of the show and someone I've known since the minute I met Ichiro. Brad Lefton is doing an article for The Athletic because Ichiro sat down for an in-depth interview on the meaning of this game and why Ichiro does this every year. It is the most remarkable thing to go to a game in Japan. It's remarkable to watch what Ichiro's doing. It's remarkable to wake up Monday and fly back and to land 10 minutes after you take off and then be ready for a show Tuesday morning. Of course, I did not sleep much at all. Last night, Coca, I got a half hour because the time difference is strange, though you'd think I wouldn't have had time to adjust, but my body doesn't quite know which way is up. Why would I go see this is the question. And the answer is that I always try to do things that I've never done, experience things I've never experienced, and learn things that I don't know. And that is a lifelong pursuit. And watching Ichiro versus the other all-stars on the team, the shape that Ichiro's in, and listen, Hideki hit a 3-run bomb, but the shape that Ichiro's in, the way that he cares about paying it forward and giving of himself and his time to players, to young players, to this girls' team, and he's done this game for years, and it just happened to work out that I could make it to this game. I'd never been to see him play in this game before, and I just wanted to see with my own eyes what that was like and to speak to some of the girls, and I had to do it through coaches and through handlers because of language barriers, but truly remarkable when you think about the equivalent, Coca, would be as if Ken Griffey Jr. put together a team and it was a team of forget girls, how about boys high schoolers, and played a 9-inning game against them. And what an honor it would be for the kids to be on the same field. Ichiro gave up a hit to one of the girls. Last year he got scored upon, by the way. But this year it was a one-hit shutout. But that girl who got the hit, that's a story forever. And the quality of baseball played by the high school girls, remarkable. And as for the way Ichiro looked at the plate, he went 1 for 4 with the walk. And if you have a chance to go on YouTube, I believe, Coca, that this event, the whole game is on YouTube. I believe it got over 1 million views right at the start, and it was broadcast live. There were 200 members of the media, and then 3 of us from the United States who went and flew over to watch it. The attention that baseball gets there is what we dream about. The man that Ichiro is, and I was able to see him and speak to him and just see in his eyes what it is to be a part of this game, to organize this game. Sawamoto-san is someone who organized it, played first base and hit a double, by the way. Just an unbelievable thing. I spent the flight back last night, Coca, trying to figure out what we could do here in the U.S. that would be similar, and I came up with Griffey because it's that level. Ichiro's even bigger in Japan than Griffey is in the U.S. There really is no comp player in the U.S. I would say it would be if Jordan played a 5-on-5 against a bunch of high schoolers, but maybe at his age, that would be somewhat possibly fair. Maybe that's the equivalent because Ichiro is Jordan for sure in Japan. So that's what I was doing this weekend. Hope you all did something that was fun. We have much to get to today. It's Tuesday, I remind myself. But first, put up the graphic, Coca, before we get to Bill Belichick, because boy, are we going to get to young Bill. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which means it's So You Want to Talk to Samson Wednesday. Get on the phone today. Call 631-377-4869, please. Leave a message. You may hear your voice on the show second hour tomorrow. 20 to 40 seconds. If you can't say it, if you leave a message and it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I may listen to it, but it's not going to make the show. We don't have 2 minutes to spare. It would have to be this unbelievable message, which likely yours isn't. 20 to 40 seconds, ask me something cool. So you want to talk to Samson, get your voice in the show. If you're scared and you don't like your voice, no problem. You can DM me at David P. Samson or email me at davidsamsonpodcast.com. But leave a message at the beep. Who watched it? I couldn't. I was flying, and then I was driving, and then I was staring at the ceiling. So I did not watch what happened with TCU gaining 542 yards to UNC's 222. I didn't see the fact that UNC started the game, started Bill Belichick's illustrious college career. I don't think I had a wait to see that said he'd never coach a game. I think my current wait to see is he won't last more than 1 year. Wait to see. UNC, a 3.5-point underdog, scores the first touchdown. I didn't see 41 unanswered points. I didn't see any of it. What I did focus on is what happened after the game, because I thought it was terrific. I got a chance to watch Bill Belichick's post-game press conference, and let me tell you something. Billy's back. Look at him, and if you're listening to this, just listen to him after the game.
Well, it was a great atmosphere here for the game tonight. Fans had a tremendous energy the whole walk, and we played competitively, but then just couldn't sustain it. So obviously we have a lot of work to do. We need to do a better job all the way around, coaching, playing, all 3 phases of the game. Just wasn't up to what it needs to be, and I know we're a lot better than that. So we'll need to work on those things and show it on Saturday on a quick turnaround. But give TCU credit; they came in and did a good job, and they were clearly the better team tonight. They deserved to win, and they did it decisively.
They certainly did. If you remember his media career, Bill Belichick was always very exuberant, buoyant. Everything's good, big energy. And now that he's coaching, he's back telling you in his monotone voice. Jordan Hudson must be furious. You can't market that. Eventually, if your team stinks, if your quarterback, Gio Lopez, goes 2 hours and 12 minutes between completing passes in real time, guess what? Not much to cheer about. You become irrelevant super quickly, don't you? You just become old and irrelevant. Now he's just old. And if you're trying to trademark a bunch of stuff and build a whole business, and you had a media career that was just shining, Now, he's gotten a lot of attention. Don't get me wrong. All of the focus was on UNC. This was a prime time game. You can imagine why Sonny Dykes felt disrespected because nobody knew who UNC was playing. Obviously, they were going to be disrespected. Didn't even matter. Do you know how many times Bill Belichick had a team in the NFL give up 48 points? Just out of curiosity, what would be your guess? Bill Belichick, if you may remember, and you're a Giant fan, I got 2 words for you. Defensive coordinator, Giants, Taylor, Carsons, Van Pelt, Marshall, anyone. He never gave up 48 points. It's a bit different in college. You need more money. Take some of the money that's going to you and Jordan and put it in players. Nah, that's not the difference. It's really the equivalent of him taking over like a CFL team and trying to get them NFL victories. It's not like UNC is a powerhouse in football. NIL is the great equalizer. Bill Belichick was hoping for immediate results with all the excitement because certainly you've got the head people in Carolina saying, for all the grief that we get, for all of the publicity we get, we better win some games. Otherwise, we're just going to be Colorado. We'll find out what happens going forward, but an absolute terrible start for Bill Belichick. But my focus was on something else other than that post-game presser, which was priceless. I was waiting for him to appear with the cutoff sweatshirt, trying to relive the glory days, but Jordan's not going to let him look like a schlep anymore. I can tell you that. I wonder whether Belichick is saying to himself, did these guys transfer to me because of me or because they're good? Like, should I have spent more time scouting the 70 guys who transferred? Or did I just expect Jordan to do the scouting? Wonder what the story is there. But for all of you who are angry with Aaron Boone for going to the game, and I saw it everywhere, Coca, and you and I talked about it before the show, I was incredulous. The Yankees have an off day. Aaron Boone has a child who's on the staff of UNC football. When you have a chance to see your kid on an off day, don't miss a game. I don't care what it's for. Graduation, having a child, you don't miss a game. That's my opinion. But on an off day, zip it. What do you think, Aaron Boone's sitting in Houston studying tape? Think he's looking at the big packet given to him by the analytics department and saying, hey, when's Brian calling him at the lineup? I'm not saying that he doesn't have work to do. Stop it. Stop it. I am saying for those of you who think that he should not be at a game, and I saw this or heard this, one of a former player, a Yankee, Clint Frazier, was pretty loud and proud about how ridiculous it was that Aaron Boone, in the middle of Yankee struggles, by the way, they just feasted on the Nats and the White Sox, yippee, but saying, how could he do that? He's got to show a better example. I don't know if Clint said that, but people were saying that. Did he mean that? What does that mean? A better example of what? Sitting in your room? The fact that they've got a big 2-week stretch ahead of them. He didn't really. Is this his line? Clint Frazier said it's the biggest 2-week stretch of the season, and this dude is at a football game with his hoodie tied around his waist. I'm sorry, Clint. What did you do on off days? Were you in the cage? All evidence would say likely not. Were you studying your opposing pitchers? All evidence would say likely not. This isn't about you, Clint. Not at all. Surprised you have made nothing personal. What it's about are people not understanding what it is to manage a team, to be the president of a team, to play on a team. It's an off day. Now, if the Yankees lose tonight, let's just quickly check right now. You are looking live at me checking something that in theory would have occurred to me to check before the show started. But I said, why would I have to do that when I can do it during the show and tell you who's going tonight for those Yankees? Max Fried against Framber Valdez, Mr. Mike Hampton himself. That's absurd. He's got to be prepping for that game, Coca. You need Boone finding an approach to try to get to Valdez. You got a big stretch of games here. He needs to be in it. He needs to be at a workout at Minute Maid. It's not Minute Maid anymore. He has to be at a workout at Enron and getting ready for the game. I don't want him on his phone. I don't want him taking calls. I don't want him leaving the room. I'm talking room service, baby. Would you people give me a break? It's time to panic. If you're Archie Manning or Eli or Peyton, you're panicked because your nephew and grandson Arch stinks. All the hype. Texas started its season against Ohio State. When we get to the nothing personal pick of the day, you'll know that I told you Ohio State was going to win the game, and they did 14-7. But my God, Arch Manning is terrible. Heisman favorite? The guy was a favorite to win the Heisman after one game. He goes from plus 650 to plus 1,600, according to our friends at DraftKings. Thank God for Garrett Nussmeier. He's the new favorite, the LSU quarterback. All the pressure got to him. It's amazing the number of people. This is what I'd like to just remind you. Stop playing the result. And I know why we all do. It's so easy. What if Arch Manning had not played well, but Texas had won 14-7? What's your view? Still go from plus 650 to plus 1,600? Still talk about what a failure he was? Still talk about the hiccup that Manning had, but Texas did exactly what all of the people except Corso said would happen? That's a shout out to Lee Corso. I don't even know if he picked Ohio State, but he had quite a undefeated round of picking in a final episode of Game Day. But anyway, I wanted to talk about pressure because that's what we say. The pressure got to him. It's too much. The weight on his shoulders, worrying about his grandpa saying he's going to the NFL, worried about what his uncles are doing on a cast as an interception is thrown. Oy vey. Do your uncles and grandparents do that when you do your job? Oh my God, what a terrible job of surgery as you're playing with your cadaver. What a terrible job with that spreadsheet, said my investment banker father. Never to me. It's just a bunch of people who are expecting what? Perfection? Eli Manning's expecting perfection? I don't know. I feel for Arch in a bit, but I'm sort of a, nepotism we've talked about. It's great. Sharing a last name and trying to forge your own path. It's outstanding. Whether you're a quarterback and you're in the path of quarterbacks, it's still your path. That's the thing that people don't understand. When you are an actor whose parents are an actor or a model whose mother was a model, it doesn't mean definitionally you're a great model or a great actor. You got to work on your craft. You don't just get born into being a number one pick. You don't get born into being a quarterback. Oh, David, yes, you do. He's got the Manning genes. It's like Secretariat's kids. Yeah, why don't you calculate the number of kids Secretariat has and the number of times they won the Triple Crown? Hold on, wait for it. Why don't you calculate the number of kids of great athletes? What's Michael Jordan's kid's name? I can't remember. Larsa Pippen's husband? Marcus, Cam, some Jordan tried to be a basketball player. It doesn't always work. Why can't we just give Arch a minute? One game, and everybody is all of a sudden playing the result and being a consequentialist, which I love to be, but a consequentialist on a career or on where that player will be as a pro with a game? It's like saying that Miami has beaten Notre Dame every time in Miami since like 2017, and they did it again last night, so therefore that's it. Every future Notre Dame team, by definition, is going to lose to Miami, so thank God they're not playing again until 2032. It's stupid. It's the same thing I told you when a team beats another team and you say, my God, we keep losing to this team year after year after year after year, and then you look in the clubhouse and you're like, that wasn't us. Or we haven't won the World Series in 50 years. It's like a curse, and the players never talk that way. You think Arch Manning during the course of the game was thinking about his grandpa or about Peyton or Eli? Give me a break. It didn't even occur to him. It didn't even enter his mind. He was thinking, I wonder how big the guy is coming from the blind side and how much it's going to hurt when I get hit. I think that's maybe what he was thinking. Or maybe you could say that after 3 quarters, he was thinking, all right, I feel good now. Remember, he went 8 for 15 for 132 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Why aren't we talking about that? Oh, because he threw an interception and threw for 38 yards in the first three? God forbid a player has a bad game. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Now, next game, they're 36.5-point favorites. If Arch Manning and Texas lose their next game and he goes 17 for 32 for 170 yards, 1 TD and 1 interception, then he's dead to me. Forget first round pick. He ought to just stay in school and never play again. He might as well get his CFL resume ready, if not his SAG-AFTRA card. Done. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? What's the statute of limitations, Coca, on when we can stop talking about Micah Parsons? It's got to be. It's maybe week 4 when he comes back and plays the Cowboys as a Packer. So we've got 4 weeks to examine his C4, C5 vertebra. We got time to see him as a Packer, see whether Kenny Clark leads the Cowboys to victory in week 1 against Saquon and the Eagles, or whether the Packers end up being the Super Bowl contender that they are. I mean, all we have to do, the numbers show, and we're about analytics, and we spent our entire off day studying this. Period. We did nothing this weekend. None of us. Jack, Coke, and I were stuck on a Zoom the entire 3-day weekend. And we learned that, of course, we're going to talk about the Cowboys, and we're going to do it in 8:69. The Dallas Cowboys have moved on past Micah Parsons, and they moved on in a way that would make Jerry Jones proud. They've had players talk to the media, not sourced, like directly talk to the media, like Dak Prescott directly talking to the media, talking about the trade, saying, you know what? Let's go. The distraction, too big a distraction. We're glad the trade happened. I miss my guy, but you know what? Move on. Move on. Interesting. When a team trades a player, whether it's the Lakers trading Luka, whether it is the Cowboys trading Micah, there are big trades that happen every year to every team. Whether your team trades 10 guys at the deadline and you live in Minnesota, whether your team acquires players at the deadline and you live in Seattle, or whether you're just neutral and getting ready for next year. Inside the locker room, it's gone. What keeps it alive is us, the fans, the media, trying to say that the players must sit around and they must talk about Micah being gone. They must get on the practice field and look to their left and look to their right and say, oh my God, we feel naked. Where is he? No, it never comes up until you ask after the game, what was it like not having the protection? What was it like not having this receiver? What was it like not having this player? What was it like being in the lineup and looking behind you and not seeing Suarez? Oh, yeah, I hadn't really considered that. Players go into a baseball game, they go and they look at the board, they see the lineup, and they go play. Football players put on their uniform, they look. It's like looking in hockey. Who's on the shift? Who's playing? What line am I on? All right, we're good. Let's go. Drop the puck. There's another thing that mistakenly is being said out there by members of the media. The signing of Deron Bland, the cornerback who the Cowboys gave $92 million to, but it was really $36.3 was guaranteed at signing, as an example of, oh, Jerry's got money for him. Jerry's negotiating with agents for Bland. Would you give me a break? It's such a big piece of horse hockey. The whole thing. Jerry, I never spoke to the agent. Really? I doubt that's right. Well, now that he's gone, I can go back to doing what I've been doing since the 90s. Let's call the agent. Or, I know how stupid my fans are. I'm going to sign Deron Bland and nobody will think about Parsons again. You really think that Jerry Jones is that stupid? It's the opposite. It's the opposite. I'm not saying he's effective, and we make a living telling you how ineffective he is as a GM, but certainly not as an owner. And if you think the owner called the GM and said, we got to do something, just sign somebody, we call it the Edwin Jackson. That's the famous signing that the Cubs made when Tom Ricketts called up Theo and said, I can't stand the rebuild. We're losing 100 games. Just sign the guy. Make it look like we're doing something. So they threw money away at Edwin, who happens to be a great guy who we had, and we love him. Edwin, you're amazing. But the reason why you're rich, that whole contract with the Cubs, that was the owner saying, hey, this ain't anything other than we need a guy. You were that guy. Congrats for being that guy. You think Bland is that guy? I think his agent called and said, Jerry, I'm telling you, people are killing you. Are you calling me the GM? No, I'm calling the owner. The GM doesn't give a squat. It's the owner. I got to get the owner panicked. I got to get the owner thinking that he's got to make a move and give money away because that's the smart thing that'll get people to forget about Parsons. I'm sorry, this is Bland's agent? You see how preposterous it is? That it just doesn't make sense in any way? The other nugget that came out while I was away about Micah Parsons is that I sent a tweet to David P. Samson, and I was wrong. I sent that his back is going to be miraculously cured now that he's gone from Dallas and getting paid by the Green Bay Packers. And when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. He actually has a problem. Brian Schottenheimer of the Cowboys said his MRI was clean. Remember, we did a whole segment about that. Well, it turns out, I don't know what the Cowboys' view of clean is, though I will tell you a little behind-the-scenes secret. When we give an MRI to a player, a pitcher, any pitcher, doesn't matter, it's never clean. We may say it's clean, but there is no elbow of a major league pitcher that would be deemed clean in an MRI. That doesn't mean we won't pass the physical. The way players pass a physical before you sign them to a contract is the doctor does the examination, does the MRI, calls the owner, the president, the GM, and says, hey, just so you know, there's a 7 out of 10 chance he's going to tear his UCL. And just so you know, he's got some bone chippers. Just so you know, he's got some wear and tear on the shoulder. Just so you know, it's not great. And then we say, thank you. And then we say, all right, we're going to fail him. Or we say, we're going to pass him. We decide. We practice medicine without a license every time we decide whether a player passes or fails a physical. Because in the history of baseball, there is not one team doctor, not one, who has passed or failed a physical. That totally came out wrong. There is 4869. There is not one team doctor who has ever had the final decision as to whether a player passes or fails a physical. They give a suggestion to the management of the team, and then the management of the team does whatever they want. It is interesting that we found out that Dallas, after his somewhat clean MRI, gave him a prednisone pack. Let me tell you what that is. When you get a 5-day course of prednisone, it used to be back in the day that we would give a pack of something that's not allowed anymore because it's just crushing to a player. And finally, the union said, you're killing these players. Stop giving them these horse tranquilizers. But we're trying to give the biggest anti-inflammatory. Think of like Advil on steroids. And that's literally what we try to give the players because it's literally steroids, but the right kind. But it's bad for your tummy. It's bad for you can't take it too much. It's bad for your liver, your kidneys, your heart, your soul. Just terrible. But for the Cowboys to prescribe that to him, you cannot come out if you're Brian Schottenheimer and say the MRI was clean. You have to come back and say, yeah, there was, some stuff on the MRI. He's got some back tightness. We're having him do PT and we're giving him a pred pack. But they didn't. And now the Packers are saying we may need to give him an epidural in order to play this week 1. So for the non-women out there, which is still 94% of you, we're looking to really build our audience. So listen to this, although we don't count the people who listen with their wives or girlfriends because we only count the person whose system it is. But in any case, to all of the men out there, an epidural, that's the thing you get when you're having a kid that makes it so you don't feel anything because it numbs you completely. Because otherwise, it's really hard to get a watermelon out of yourself, an epidural is like Toradol, except way worse. Toradol is what I would take when I would run marathons. Hey, I don't want to feel any pain. I'm okay with the stomach ache and feeling like I got to go to the bathroom every mile. When you don't, that's just the Toradol talking. But the Toradol kicks in and you can run like at the wind at 12-minute pace. And you can run for hours, like 6 of them, and finish a marathon. An epidural to go play football. I came out, Coca, and said that I was against Toradol and epidurals for football players or baseball players, even though we gave it to baseball players all the time. Because the problem is you don't feel when you're making damage. You can like step on a guy's ankle, twist it all the way, and they're like, hey, what happened? Are we good here? And then all of a sudden you're John Travolta in the bubble, balloon boy, and you finish the game and you're like, God, that hurts. Epidural. Micah's playing week 1, you bet your sweet bipster. How about the review, Coca? I had a lot of time on an airplane this weekend. 13-and-a-half-hour flying time to Tokyo, 12-hour, 57 minutes back. Unbelievable turbulence over Alaska. If you don't get why you go over Alaska to get to Japan, then you don't realize that the world is not flat. A lot of time to watch movies. A lot of time to study, to read, to think. Told you I'd watch F1, and I did. Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon from Banshees of Inisherin. So this whole F1 movie thing, this successful Apple movie that has changed in a way movies are financed. It's changed the universe of financiers. It is a huge example of why streaming matters, why streaming companies matter. A theatrical release that is successful, a streaming release that is successful. You don't need to see it on a big screen. Sorry, Tom Cruise. The sound is amazing. The performances are amazing. The racing's amazing. Brad Pitt, when he signs on, I'm sorry. It just means you're going to be successful. It's like having Tom Cruise do a movie. I'm not talking about his personal life. Don't care. I'm talking about Brad Pitt's professional life on screen. He's come a long way since Thelma and Louise. He is cool. And with Javier Bardem as the team principal, he plays a character so far away from Antoine Sugar. If you don't know that character, go see No Country for Old Men immediately. But his name is not Antoine Sugar. I don't know why that name is in my head, unless that is his name. I wanted that to be way smoother. The villain from No Country for Old Men. Oy vey. Forgive me, I'm a little vertutzed here. The reason why I was good with 2 hours and 43 minutes is I had nowhere to go. That movie could have been 2:13 and it would have been fine. But when you're flying, 2:43, that feels just about perfect. It's exhilarating. The story, mediocre, predictable, no, not Oscar winning. The screenplay, fine. But man, overall, it's a great movie experience. Not everything has to be Shakespeare. I'm going to watch a movie today, but I'm also, here's a spoiler alert, and it is okay. I say this, Coca. Back from Japan, it's been a rough night. I was staring at the ceiling last night after I got back, because that's what happens. And eventually I just got out of bed and I watched the end of Hunting Wives. So it counts, because my days are midnight to 11:59 p.m. And I tell you, I watch a movie every day. It's any time between midnight and 11:59. Now, it just so happens I watched the end of Hunting Wives and a whole nother movie in the middle of the night last night while I was doing my best Bill Murray imitation. I had no roof bar to go to, no Scarlett Johansson to be found in Japan or here. But I'll review the Hunting Wives tomorrow. I tried something, Coca, in baseball. I will never forget this. I was in my first year with the Expos, and I was learning the game. I was learning the business of the game. And I learned a lot from the people in Montreal, from the people who worked for the Expos. I was learning about budgets. I was learning not how to do a budget. I knew how to do that. Running a baseball business is not entirely different from running any business. And I'd run a business before. It's whatever, accounts receivable, accounts payable, there's sales, marketing, finance, the whole Megillah. One of the things that I didn't understand is why at the end of a baseball game, the dugout looks like a teenager's room. I didn't really understand. And I had played freshman year in high school. I don't understand. We had to spend so much time cleaning up spit and tobacco juice and gum and just disgustingness at the end of every game. And like ball boys had to do it and clubbies, and it would keep them there longer so they'd get paid more. It just made no sense. And I was like, why don't we put more garbage cans in the dugout? Why don't we give every player who's chewing, give them a little spittoon so they don't spit on the dugout floor? Why don't we have a receptacle for their bubble gum? 18 years in the game, Coca never got an answer. I'm not a spitter, except when I run. I don't really understand the concept of spitting. What happened in the Inter-Miami game, Inter-Miami incidentally lost the League's Cup to Seattle. I know that all of you were watching. You were all paying attention. But did you see what happened after they lost their game? We're not talking about a schlepper here. We're talking about Messi's best friend, used to be one of the best players in the world. Now he's just old. You may have seen him play for Liverpool, Barcelona. He's an Uruguayan. Luis Suarez. I'm going to show you video if you're watching this on DraftKings Network or the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel and you're live. Luis Suarez, who you may know is just a biter. He actually spat on a staff member of the Seattle Sounders. Do we have that video, Coca? I don't care, actually. I don't care how right you are in an argument. Now, I get when actors, when they're projecting or when you're giving a public speech and, hey, people in the front row, hey, if you go to Hamilton in the front row with the original King George, let me tell you, bring an umbrella. And you know what? I'm in. That's the art. That's projecting your voice in a way. And for those of you who watch me every day, you may notice that I have a thing right here on the corner of my mouth, which I don't really have. It's just a tick that I have. I want to avoid even the possibility of having any sort of spit on the corner of the mouth or a trailer between your front lip and your bottom lip. I don't have that. There are people who do. It's fine. That's not what I'm talking about here. What Suarez did is he actually spit like wind up. It's like hitting someone. I would argue, and there are cases about this, when you have a communicable disease and you do that, that's assault. Now, I used to argue in law school, what's the matter? What's the difference if you have the disease or not? Now, eggshell skull, that whole principle, I get it. However, the reality is, I find spitting on someone purposefully is not when you're talking loudly, like umpires and managers when they're nose to nose and you have to sort of wipe off your chin. I get that. I'm talking about winding up and then going, thump. That's worse than punching someone to me. They're going to investigate this. They have to. Inter Miami has 9 games left this season, and that's it. Their next game is not till September 13th. Don Garber has plenty of time, and you know that he will go after Inter Miami, even though some appear that they favor Inter Miami. You saw with the fines for Messi not going to the All-Star game. I will tell you, and actually, Coca, can you book this as an official wait to see? Wait to see is when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. but we'll revisit it. And it's in a document on davidsamsonpodcast.com. Wait to see. Suarez will get suspended by Major League Soccer, and it will happen before September 13th. There will be an announcement by Major League Soccer. You cannot have this. Period. Don Garber cannot get sucked into the fact that this is Messi's team, or that it's Inter Miami, or that these are important games, or that it's his best friend, or how upset Messi got when he got suspended for that one game for missing the All-Star game. Garber has to not think about any of that. You cannot have a staff member or a player or a fan or anyone get spit on purposely. You just can't. It's embarrassing. You know what I'd love? What's that thing in college football, Coca? Michigan did it before Harbaugh got sanctioned and got the show cause. It's Coca, it's like a self-discipline, self-imposed discipline where you just say, listen, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'll tell you, we're going to suspend and our coach for 3 games. Wouldn't it be great, like, if a team did that? Like when somebody charges the mound, or there's a benches clearing brawl, or a player does something where Mike Hill's going to suspend him. Wouldn't it be great if a team could do self-imposed discipline and say, we're not going to play this guy for 4 games? Of course, it doesn't happen, but I would love Inter Miami to do that. Say, no, we're sitting Suarez out. That is embarrassing. We're opening a new stadium at the airport. We want people ducking airplanes, not little spittoons. Nothing personal pick of the day. Yes, last night was Corbin Day. That's correct, but it wasn't a pick that was given because when we did our show Friday, Corbin had not been announced Monday. Therefore, I didn't have a pick yesterday, so I don't get the loss. Coca doesn't give me the win, and Coca doesn't give me the loss. If we don't say the pick of the day on the show, it's not a pick of the day. I love the size of our audience. I love that you helped us to a record-breaking August. You are watching the video. You are listening to the audio. You're engaging with our clips on TikTok. Nothing personal. TikTok, Instagram. It's amazing. But you know the rule. If I don't say it on the show as an official wait to see, even if I predicted it, it's not an official wait to see. If I don't give the pick, no matter what's in the rundown, no matter what's on the screen, I've got to say it, and I won't spray it. I didn't have Corbin losing yesterday, which is good because Corbin won. I did have the Brewers beating Shane Bieber on Friday. Do you remember I told you that Bieber, Tommy John, inconsistency, and then he went 5 2/3 and had a great start? But it doesn't matter because the Brewers won. And the Brewers are plus 112. We'll take that win. You know we took Ohio State minus 110 money line. You know that. We won that. So we tried to go for the sweep on Sunday. The A's were playing great, but those Rangers are HO triple, baby. Those Corbin Rangers, they're like only 2.5 back of the playoff spot, and I left them for dead. But now it's possible that my prediction that I made when the second half of the season started, both here and on CBS Sports HQ, that the Rangers are going to make the playoffs instead of the Yankees. Well, that is likely not to happen because the Yankees are feasting, baby, feasting on the crap. Although now they've got the tough schedule and Aaron Boone is so distracted and he took that time to go to a game in UNC. The Yankees are about to lose 6 of their next 7 without a doubt. And that has nothing to do with the greatness of the opponent at all. Only has to do with going to games when you shouldn't. The Rangers are only a game and a half behind the Mariners. Are the Mariners really fading? The Mariners who finally got help for their great pitching staff? The Mariners who brought in the trade deadline Mona Lisa, Eugenio Suarez, please come to us. And they made that huge deal. Guess what? Suarez has played 28 games already for the Mariners, and he stinks. He's hitting 188, 6 home runs, 18 runs batted in 28 days. Don't worry, though. They got Josh Naylor, our draft pick, Josh Naylor, our guy, Josh Naylor. hitting 256, 5 home runs in his 33 games. The Mariners, I thought they were going to roll, and I mean roll. Meanwhile, they have done nothing but struggle. So Texas is 9-1 in their last 10, only a game and a half out. Meanwhile, the Royals are only 2.5 out. We got ourselves a race. I thought all 12 playoff spots were done. Now, in the National League, there is no way that the Reds, although there are 4 back of the Mets, but if the Mets had to play the Marlins every time, every game for the rest of the year, the Mets would miss the playoffs. But luckily, the Mets don't. They do have to end the season against the Marlins. Anyway, why am I talking about the Mariners? I have no idea why the Mariners were even in my mind. Oh, because I was talking about how hot the Rangers are, and on Sunday we had DeGrom losing. We got that wrong. The A's lost. So we only went 2-1. We're 116 and 111 going into tonight, and we've got a pick for you tonight. And woo, is it a good pick? Did you get that? We're taking the Mariners. Remember we talked about the Mariners? They got to win a game. They're playing the Rays, facing Rasmussen, who's really good, but woo, who goes 6 innings every time. The guy picks up a ball and you can pencil him in for 6, which used to be like the least you could expect from a starter, but now is a dream come true. And it is also true that Wu didn't go 6 last start. First time, broke the streak. Do you know what happens when you break a streak like that? You start another one. Wu's going 6. We're not betting that, though. We're just taking Wu, the game, the money line, over the Mariners. That's our pick of the day. Meanwhile, the Yankees are, as I said, tied for the first wild card. It's actually a big deal. They're tied with the Red Sox, and they both have a 3.5 game lead over the Mariners. Winning the wild card, coming in first in the wild card, means you're the 4 seed, but it means you play at home for 3 games against the 2 wild card. Right now, if the playoffs were to start, it would be Red Sox playing 3 games at Yankee Stadium. First team to win 2 wins. Now, we saw the Red Sox win 3 out of 4 against the Yankees recently, but can you imagine a first round of Red Sox-Yankees? It would also be, incidentally, there's a chance that there could be a first round involving the Metropolitans and the Dodgers. Can you imagine Mets, Dodgers, Yanks, Red Sox wildcard round? MLB is salivating, not spitting. They're salivating at the possibility of what's happening, of what could happen come the end of this month, come the playoffs. What I'm excited about is to give you the news that may have gotten lost amongst all of the big news that's happening with the Yankees, with Aaron Boone, with North Carolina, with Belichick, with Week 1, with NFL, with Micah Parsons. Did you see what the Red Sox did with Aroldis Chapman? Have you watched Aroldis Chapman? We've talked about him on Nothing Personal. The closer, the guy who throws 102, started with the Reds. Remember that guy? Remember the guy who won a World Series with the Cubs? That guy. Long-term deal with the Yankees? That guy. Gave the home run to Altuve, no shirt buzzer? That guy. Well, have you paid attention? The guy hasn't given up a hit since July 23rd. I didn't say run. I said hit. He pitched 11 innings in August, which is not too shabby. He's pitched 50 innings so far this year, 50, 53 innings. He went 11 innings in August. He didn't give up a hit. He didn't give up a run. He had 14 Ks and 1 walk. Just so we're clear, when you can go 11 innings and not give up a hit as a reliever, that's good. But the Red Sox decided Chapman has been great for us. We signed him to a 1-year, $10.7 million contract. He was an absolute retread. It was a flyer. If we were not in the race, we'd trade him. If he was good, if he's bad, we'd release him, designate him. $10.7 million is the going rate. It used to be 7. I didn't hear you, Coca. It is, oh God, the show's over? I lost track. I'm out of practice. We have a guest coming in the second hour, but first, we got to take a break. That's the end of hour 1, but we'll be back for hour 2. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is hour 2 on this Tuesday, the 2nd of September, 2025. And you know that starting 3 months ago today, we started with the second hour. Thank you to everyone who rates, reviews, subscribes, who subscribes on YouTube. If you're watching this right now, Nothing Personal with David Samson. If you're on the DraftKings Network, we appreciate you. Anywhere you find your podcast, just click the button, let people know. Keep telling your friends about it. But you know, with the second hour, we have a guest every Tuesday, every Thursday. And this is a get, folks. You have not seen his face in a couple of years because he doesn't come out of hibernation. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a World Series winning general manager, someone who is a very, very close friend of mine, someone who I won a World Series with. Larry Beinfest agreed to come on the show. Hello, Larry.
Good morning, David. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm very thankful that you agreed to do this. I know that you were always so good with the media. I quote your lines all the time. Everybody is eligible to be traded, but some are more likely than others. You're the first person who ever did that line.
Yeah, that was one of them. And I think I'd like to take credit for payroll flexibility. You and Jeffrey Lurie, our owner, tested me early on in my tenure with the Marlins when we made a trade 4 weeks into my first spring training, and we had to move some salary and bring down the payroll, and came up with the phrase payroll flexibility for anything, couldn't come up with anything better. And it's kind of lived on as well.
There's another thing that you started that lived on, that you and I started together, and that we've had Jeff Berry on the show, who acknowledges, as does the entire union to this day, looks back at you, Larry, and me, David, the original File to Go team.
Yes, very popular with the union, and I'm sure it continues to be, but I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of arbitration, David, but yes, we were definitely at the forefront of that. I think it was a kind of a survival thing for us as well. We needed to, we were running on some shoestring budgets and some tight revenues, and we needed to find ways to be as productive as possible with our payroll, and dealing with arbitration and midpoints and all the nuances of that. It just didn't make sense to us. So File to Go became a thing, and yes, there was some pushback.
There's now, I know you keep up with this. Do you know how many teams have the File to Go strategy now in Major League Baseball?
Actually, I don't. I know that there were some at the time that were right on our heels, if not with us, like the Tampa Bay Rays, and I think they saw it as a necessity also. But I'm going to go with 62% of the teams Filed to Go.
And you are off by 38%.
Really? In the old days, and I'm a relic to some extent, but there were some general managers at the time that, back in the 2000s, that would not go to the room. They did not want to have that adversarial relationship with the player, and they just would give the money. And they just said, we're not doing it. We're not going to take a player to the room. Whereas you and I, again, it was just business. It wasn't personal. And, we did what we had to do. And there were times where we had very good experiences in the room. And of course, our good friend Dan Ugla was one of them, when he was laughing during the hearing and having a good time. So again, it can be a tough deal, arbitration, but it was just a necessary part of the business, and obviously something that the union also bargained for.
Larry, earlier this week or last week, we had Mike Hampton on the show. And Mike Hampton acknowledged, for the first time, at least that I had seen publicly or privately, his regret over not allowing a trade to the Marlins back at the end of 2002 and forcing us to trade him to Atlanta, because he said, hey, the Marlins were good and young, but I wanted to win and the Braves were going to win. And he ended his career without a ring. And I was thinking back to that trade that we did that got us Juan Pierre, and that led to the World Series and all the different moves. When you look back on your World Series journey, so we got to Florida in 2002, and folks, Larry Beinfest and I were, not just the architects of this franchise swap, but Larry was basically running the baseball operation by himself before we even had Mike Hill, before we had Dan Jennings, before we had anybody. It was Larry and Flem basically trying to figure out what to do. So when you look back on the run, what would you say was the moment, and tell me the truth, even if it's strange, what's the moment you looked out and said, wow, we could win a World Series?
Well, I'd like to say, I think it was May 23rd of 2003 when Brad Penny got sick in Cincinnati and we had to bring Tommy Phelps out of the bullpen and start a game. And then from then on, we played 600 baseball. I actually tell you a really quick, fun story. There were a lot of great memories in 03, David, but one of them was on June 18th of 2003. Todd Hollingsworth was our everyday left fielder and he was struggling out in left field. And I called down to Jim Fleming, who was running our player development, and said, talked to Jim about the idea of hitting some fly balls to Miguel Cabrera in left field. He had been playing third base. And so we decided that day that we would hit some pregame fly balls to Miguel Cabrera in left field and see how he did. And I asked Jim to give me a call later after he went through his workout and see how it went. And he called and said, yeah, he caught all the fly balls. He looked fine. He's a great athlete. And I said, great, let's hit him some more fly balls tomorrow and put him in the game. And that was on June 19th. And he went into the game. He made all the plays in left field. We flew in some of our instructors. It was all hands on deck. And he did fine. And he had like 3 hits. He was winning the Triple Crown in Double-A at the time. And on June 20th, we brought him up against the Tampa Bay Rays at home in Miami, put him in left field, and he ended up hitting a walk-off home run. And I think it was kind of that night, David, and obviously Miguel Cabrera would go on to be a Hall of Fame player, and obviously a lot of controversy with the trade and everything that went down with Miguel. But putting him in left field was, we're kind of like saying to ourselves, wow, not only are we playing really good baseball, but things are kind of going our way right now. And we're doing off the grid kind of things and putting this career infielder in left field within 2 days, and it's working. And that was kind of a microcosm of that year. There were a lot of down periods. Obviously, in April and May, it was as dark as it could get. And we had a lot of struggles, including the Mike Lowell breaking his hand on August 31st and all the stuff that happened. But that team persevered. And I think the thing with Miguel was kind of an illustration of it, that this team found a way to win, and we truly believed in what we were doing.
I was thinking about that every team that wins a World Series, we say that team found a way to win. But I was thinking back to what we did in 03 and certain of the games that were played where you just, and I rewatched, I just got done with 25 hours of flying. I'm back from Japan and I saw Ichiro. Oh, before I even get to that, you started in Seattle. Your career began as a Mariner, did it not?
It did. I was there from 1990 to 1999, 10 years. I did meet Ichiro once. He was a guest of the Mariners in spring training of 99. He was still playing in Japan. He wouldn't know me from anybody. I shook his hand and said hello, but there was definitely something about him. It was magnetic, and it just looked like he was a superstar, even though he was in a different environment, didn't speak a word of English. And he just spent about 10 days in camp with the Mariners. And then obviously, I think a year or two later, he became a Mariner and obviously an all-time great Mariner and a Hall of Famer, and eventually a Marlin with you. But I missed that time with him in Miami, but I did meet him way long ago before he was a Mariner.
How did he get, I never knew that story. I've never spoken to Ichiro about that. How did you get him to come to spring training for 10 days? Under what? Was he a roster invite? Was he a guest? Did he appear in games?
No, I don't think he did. And I don't think that he wore number 51 either, because I think Randy Johnson was wearing that number at the time. Jim Colborn was our Asia Pacific kind of director with the Mariners, and he had a relationship over there, and somehow through his agent got Ichiro to come as a guest. I don't believe he played in games. I think he just worked out with the team and got to be around the guys, Ken Griffey Jr. and A-Rod and Randy Johnson and Edgar Martinez, and just to get comfortable with the environments and check things out. I think it was one of the first times that had happened, maybe to a player of that caliber. And then, what happened eventually was you had to do a sealed bid at the time to try to get the players right. So it didn't really matter whether we had a relationship or not. It just came down to money. And I remember the story was told to me. I was not involved in the actual sealed bid, but the owner of the Mariners at the time was the
Nintendo guy, wasn't he?
Nintendo, yeah. And he said, we will not be outbid. So I don't know what that final sealed bid was, but it happened and they did not get outbid, and the rest is history with Ichiro.
So I was thinking about greatness and superstars, and I was thinking about, because it's easy and fun for me to think about '03, but during the course of your career, and you had a very long career, for people who don't know, I don't want to take the time to go through everything you did, but pay attention. Larry is one of the best GMs to ever do it in the history of our game. Who would you say is the player that, whether it was your player or not, who when you were watching him play, you said, I've never seen anyone like this before?
Well, I think I'd have to go back to my Seattle days again, David. And Ken Griffey Jr. was a talent unto himself, and there was no question about it. But I had never seen anything quite like Randy Johnson. And every fifth day when he pitched, it was an event, and I couldn't wait for it to happen. You just felt like he was going to throw a no-hitter every time he took the mound. And when you're 6'10", throwing 99 miles an hour, with the arm angle and everything coming at you, it was just pure excitement. And there was nothing like I had ever seen. There had been tall pitchers in the past, but nothing like Randy Johnson. And when I got there, he was still early in his career, was still working through some control issues, which even made things more exciting because the ball wasn't always in the zone. And when it was coming at you at that velocity, it was unbelievable. And one last thing, I know my answers are long-winded, but I'm fired up right now, is Randy Johnson was unreal that he would throw 99 in the ninth inning on his 116th pitch. He was, I would say, a freak in a lot of ways, but he was just a gifted guy. He was strong, even though he looked wiry and tall. He was strong, and he was unbelievable.
Was that the beginning of your philosophy that pitching and defense wins rings? Was Randy Johnson sort of when you looked at him and said, wow, if we could get this, we can win?
Well, there's a couple things. I think my time with the Mariners taught me a lot. We played in the Kingdome, which was an offensive park, and we were always a little bit short on pitching. And you kind of learn through the game that you just couldn't outscore your opponent every night. And we had one of the most prolific offenses of all time. We had Griffey and A-Rod and Edgar Martinez and Jay Buhner, and we did nothing but score runs. But you just couldn't do it every night. And you know, pitching and defense shows up every day. The offense always doesn't. And you got to be able to even those things out. I'd like to tell you one more quick story. I'm not sure how much time you have, but you brought up Mike Hampton. And Mike Hampton had a very large part in kind of shaping my philosophy, which was, and I know you and Jeffrey Loria heard it from day one, is pitching is really hard to find. It's really hard to develop. You never have enough of it. And if you want to buy it on the open market, it's extremely expensive. So you got to hold on to your pitching. Quickly on Mike Hampton, he was a Mariner in 1991, pitching in short season Bellingham. Great athlete, superb competitor, good-looking young prospect. He ended up pitching for the Mariners in 93 a little bit, and then was traded after that season. Fast forward 1 year to 1992 in Bellingham, the same short season team. There's a young, lanky pitcher named Derek Lowe. Now, Derek Lowe would go on to be a great Boston Red Sox, but not before he was traded out of Double-A with Jason Varitek to the Red Sox. So Derek Lowe never pitched for the Mariners. Mike Hampton pitched for the Mariners briefly, and it was from that time forward that I said, we're not trading young prospect pitching. It's not happening. And Mike Hampton and Derek Lowe were part of that. And again, they both went on to unbelievably great careers.
I forced you to trade young prospect pitching from time to time. And I remember the arguments we would have, because I know that our owner was always wanted to, look at today. And I fell victim to that as well. And you could end up chasing the next World Series ring so badly. But I think what we've seen in today's game is that young pitching and pre-free agent pitching, that hasn't changed over the 20 years since we won the ring. You need that. And that's, the interesting thing. You look at Paul Skeens and whether or not Pittsburgh should trade him and why aren't they winning more around him? Well, you hope you can win before he becomes a free agent, but there'd be no reason to trade him now. You still would be the same with if you're running the Pirates, you're not trading Skeens, right?
Well, I was on the way end of the spectrum. I would try to hold on. I mean, we had prospect pitching that was struggling that I still wouldn't trade, that in the hope that we would, do our job and get the most out of the player and fulfill their potential. And those 0 to 3 pitchers, David, like you said, are gold. They're the most valued commodity in the game. They can drive your franchise in a lot of different ways. And you cannot win without
That's
pitching.
Pre-arbitration pitchers, folks. 0 to 3. When Larry says 0 to 3, he's talking about guys making the minimum. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, and the bottom line, David, is if you don't have pitching, you don't have a chance. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your payroll is. I don't care the changes in the game today. It's still the same. If you don't pitch, you just really and you go into the season without your pitching having a chance, you're not going to have a good season. It's just bore out in the stats over the number of 150 years. That's just the way it is. Pitching wins.
When you evaluate your teams, and you did it for so many years, over so many decades, at what point during the season, because we fired a lot of managers in our time, when do you decide that your evaluation was actually wrong and that you thought your team was good and you're seeing the results and you say, well, wait a minute, we got this wrong? At what point do you say to yourself, are you willing to no longer be delusional? It's something we talk about a lot on the show. I'm curious, in the brain of such a winning and World Series winning GM, how did you do that?
Well, I was tested early on. It's a really good question, because in '03, I really believed in the team. We had tried something different, which was out of the box at the time, with two speedsters at the top of the lineup in Pierre and Castillo, and we put Pudge Rodriguez in the middle of the lineup along with D. Lee and Mike Lowell, and it was a good-looking team. And we had young pitching, and we were tested early on. And once you fire a manager, guess who's next? And you're looking right at him on the other side of your streaming platform. So you have to believe in what you're doing, but you also have to be true to yourself. I don't think that there is a right day or a right time. Injuries can be a part of it. Who you have in your minor leagues coming could be a lot of part of that decision. Track record, if you have it with veterans on your team, like if you have Jeff Conine and he's hitting 220 and that he hits 276 every year, you're going to believe that that's going to happen. So there's so many variables. I think it'd be hard pressed to find a GM that would say, yes, if we're not doing well on June 14th, we're going to pull the plug and start to get ready for the trade deadline. I think you have to look at so many things. But going back to '03, and again, another long-winded answer, we had to believe in that team in the middle of May, as bad as it was going, to fire the manager and to stay with it. And we just did. And I think it was to a man. We had, we just believed in what we were doing, and it worked out. And it doesn't always work out that way, David, but I don't think there is that magic day.
Is there a player you ever traded that you didn't want to trade? You mentioned we had to trade Cabrera. Is he just the answer to that question, that you look back on that and say, I did not want to trade Cabrera?
It's actually, you don't ever want to trade Miguel Cabrera, but that was, again, business. And there was not a stadium coming in Miami at the time. He had matured, obviously, getting close to free agency, and was going to be a very expensive player and well earned. I am all in on paying players when they earn it. There's no doubt about it. And Miguel Cabrera was a great player. The answer to the question is not Miguel Cabrera, though. The answer to the question is actually threefold. The three hardest trades that I've ever made. The first one, and the only time that I ever really got emotional, was a player named Hee-Seop Choi. In 2004, we made a move to send him to LA. And Jack McKeon, obviously Jack's been on the show, and a lot of things have been documented about Jack. But Jack had this warm relationship with Hee-Seop, who was a South Korean player, and just a wonderful guy. And when we told him we were trading him to LA, he started welling up, and I started welling up. I just felt so bad for the kid. And again, this was a business where I had been, trained. We release players and you trade players and you make all these hard decisions, but that was a tough one. And then the second one and the third one really go hand in hand. And that goes back to 2005, when we traded Pierre and Castillo that winter, along with several others. But they were very special to me. It felt like kind of our baby, that we came up with that philosophy to put the speed at the beginning. And in Louis' case, he was a special guy, kind of quiet, kind of quirky, but he was really, truly a great Marlin, and probably one of the greatest Marlins. And
he's in the Hall of Fame with the
Marlins.
Marlins.
To trade him. What's that?
He's in the Hall of Fame with the Marlins.
He's in the Hall of Fame, deservedly,
in the inaugural class.
He gets the credit due. He is truly one of the all-time great Marlins. And then the last part is just Juan Pierre. Again, we went to great pains to get Juan. He was such a wonderful guy. It was like Christmas morning every day with Juan Pierre. He just couldn't wait to play and open the gifts of playing a game every day. And he meant so much to the franchise as well. So it was tough to trade him.
You know that we acquired, and I know you remember this, but the franchise leader to this day, the franchise leader in wins and many other categories. I believe we got in the Juan Pierre trade. Did we not get Ricky Nolasco as part of that trade?
We did get Ricky.
Wasn't it Mitre, Nolasco, and Reynal Pinto?
Pinto, Nolasco, and Sergio Mitre. And actually, Juan Pierre was the last player that was traded in that kind of reset in 2005. We'll call it a reset, kindly. And we kind of held him out to the winter meetings. We had made a lot of our big moves by then, and the Cubs were just very agitated and ready to go on Juan Pierre, and we were going to again focus on pitching. And Ricky Nolasco doesn't get his due either. He pitched for a long time for the Marlins, and he took them out every fifth day. Really a lot of durability, good competitor, good guy, and good stuff. And, we found a way, David, after, in 2005 with Anibal Sanchez and Nolasco, and we already had Josh Johnson. It was a pretty good team. We weren't able to add and do some of the things that we wanted to do from, 2006 to 2011, probably to get that team over the top. And we all take responsibility for that. But we had pretty good players, and that was a lot of fun. That was a really fun team to have, especially when you've kind of moved on from a World Series core.
When you look at building another World Series team, which you tried to do, we all tried to do it, and we just could not get over the hump. And it really was. You mentioned what a good team it was, and look back. Now, it doesn't mean we didn't fire Joe Girardi after 1 year winning Manager of the Year. And you're listening and talking to someone who was part of that with me. But when you're looking at the game today, if you're running a team today, are you still starting? Who are you starting with? Like, who's the player, if you're trying to build a World Series champion, who's playing right now? And the reason I'm asking, obviously, I could give you two players, one who's making money, one who's not. Who are you starting with?
Well, not to disappoint you with the pitching, I would have to go with Paul Skeens. I mean, just to have that frontline starter, and we talked earlier about Randy Johnson, the confidence that a team has every fifth day with that kind of quality on the mound, you just feel like you're going to win. And I think it's from ownership on down, all the way into the clubhouse. Man, we're going today. We got the big unit out there, or we have Paul Skeens out there, or we have Josh Beckett out there. We're going to win today. And that's a good feeling when to go into a ballpark with. So I think you have to. I know that there's tremendous risk with pitching and the attrition and the injuries, but to be able to start with somebody like that is so dominant is just amazing. Another player, though, that might surprise you a little bit, and I happen to see him this year. I don't go to a lot of games anymore, David. I've kind of, as you can see from my hat, I've kind of gotten into hockey and my Florida Panthers.
He's wearing a Panther
I did go to a Cubs game, and I was super impressed with PCA, with Pete Crow Armstrong. He looked like a guy. He looked like a culture guy, like a hardcore player, and super gifted. And I think that he would be an interesting player because of his tools. He can run, he can defend, he hits with power, he hits for average, he's on base, kind of does it all. Be a very interesting guy also to build around. And again, staying with our theme, we're talking about a rookie player that you have under control for several years.
So when you look at that and you look at his slump over the second half as the GM of the Cubs, you still say that your evaluation of him, it's based on the first half and you ignore the second half, or at what point do you get concerned?
Players go through slumps. Some go through a lot shorter slumps than others. I'll give you two examples. Alex Rodriguez came up. He went into a 2-week slump and actually got sent back to the minor leagues in 1995 and then came back and then was never in a slump again. And again, I don't want to keep going back to 2003, but there was a time when Miguel Cabrera also had a 2-week slump. And it was only 2 weeks. And we're talking about Hall of Fame players, the elite of the elite hitters of all time. I'm not sure I'm ready to put Pete Crow Armstrong into that category. But, Miguel Cabrera, you have to say this guy's always hit. He is a natural hitter, and it's going to happen. And the league adjusts to these players. They have all the video. They have smart guys. They know what they're doing. And there's an adjustment period. Maybe Pete's has gone on a little bit further than you would think with a player that gifted. But I don't think that Jed Hoyer is losing sleep at night over Pete Crow Armstrong. Maybe in the short term he is, because he's in a playoff race and he's looking to October and he wants that piece to be as productive as possible. But I don't think that would change things. And you just have to stay with your evaluation.
Larry, we could spend more time. I only asked you for 25 minutes, and I didn't even get to talking about what it is to build a team now. There's so many other things. Will you come out of hibernation and come on the show again?
Anytime, David. For you, anytime. It's been fun reminiscing, even though I'm halfway awake and only half a cup into coffee. But I do appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Larry. Larry Beinfest, World Series winning GM, former president of baseball operations, a career baseball person who's a winner, a true winner. Larry Beinfest, thanks for being here.
Thank you, David.
I don't know, Coca. I could talk for hours and hours and just tell stories about what goes on and what went on in building teams and the effort that we make that doesn't get attention, the decisions that get made, the stories that get told. You just heard from Larry Beinfest, and he does not talk to the media often. And when he does, good things are said. That was interesting. Coca, I'm thinking a lot about teams, and in baseball, we are now at the start of September. That's it. There's no more months. The next month is October. Next month is playoffs. Next month is a new World Series winner if the Dodgers don't repeat. So the start of every month, we do something on Nothing Personal. And I want to do it now because today's the first day of the month. You've learned to love this segment, and it's back. At the start of each month, we make predictions as to what will happen the next month. But again, not like other shows. We're going to revisit our predictions from the last month and tell you how we did. In case you don't remember, let's talk about what we did in August and what predictions we said would happen. The number one prediction is August. I said the Mets will end August leading the Phillies by more than half a game. I had no idea that David Peterson would have an ERA of 6.68 in August, or that Senga would be 5.86, or that Minai would be over 7. Clay Holmes would not be able to raise his right arm, and he was the best one. I did not have it on my bingo card that their two best pitchers would be the two rookies, McClain and Willis. I did not have it on. I know it's McClain and Ton Coca. Get it? McClain, diehard. Forget it. We got that prediction wrong. I did tell you the Dodgers would be leading the Padres by fewer than 3 games by September 1st, and I was right. The Dodgers were leading by 2 games as of September 1st. That is a division that is still exciting. The Padres may have a hamstring issue with Tatis, and the Dodgers have actually shown that they're going to win more than they're going to lose. They're not going to win 150 games the way we thought. They've built a 2.5 game lead now, but we predicted that. Then we had a strange one. We told you that Suarez would have fewer home runs than his teammate Cal Raleigh in August. I did not think Suarez would be this bad. He did hit 6 home runs in August, but our main man MVP candidate, who's hitting below the Mendoza line, but he hit 8 home runs. Nailed it. How about this prediction? If you know Stanton, like I know Stanton, this was not a big deal. But I got a lot of flack about this, Roberta. I said that Stanton would hit more home runs than Ohtani in August. Stanton did. Stanton out-homered Ohtani 9-7. Now, that doesn't make Stanton more valuable than Ohtani because Stanton had exactly 0.0 IP, the same number that I had or that Coca had. But he hit more home runs. So that was a winning prediction. I want to give you now my September predictions. These are the things that I think will happen during the month of September. Let's start with number 1. We have talked since the trade deadline about bullpens. Bullpens, baby, build it. If you build a bullpen, good things are going to happen. The New York Yankees, boy, did they add Bednar, fantastic, great. The Rocky guy they sent to the minor leagues, less than great. Cole, maybe? Duvall, great. The Mets, though, one-up them. Let's watch New York baseball this month because it's something to behold. Both teams are in it. Both teams may have to play the wild card round. We talked about it in the first hour. But my prediction, the Yankees bullpen will have a lower ERA than the Mets bullpen in the month of September. I'm not saying the Mets will have a worse record. I'm saying the Mets will have a higher ERA in their bullpen. Number 2, we are all on Maris watch, 4869. Number 2, we are all on Judge watch. Cal Raleigh right now has a 5 handle next to him in home runs. People are saying, listen, MVP, 60 home runs, it's in the bag. You don't realize how hard it is to get to 60 home runs. You don't realize the pressure. Now, last month, Raleigh had 8 home runs. Well, 8 home runs this month would not get it done. My September prediction, Raleigh will not hit 60 home runs. He's going to break Mantle's record for a switch hitter. He's going to hit more than 54. He's not going to get to 60. Third prediction, division leaders. There's some races out there. As we sit here on September 2nd, Toronto's only up 2.5 over the Yankees in Boston. Houston's only up 3 over Seattle. And the Dodgers are only up 2.5 over the Padres. That's 3 divisions you could say are in flux. Milwaukee 5.5 over the Cubs. That's not hard to predict. Phillies 6 over the Mets. Not hard to predict, especially because it's not the Mets leading, so it's not the Mets who can collapse. And the Tigers 9 over the Royals. Those are the other 3. But the prediction is this. Your 6 division leaders as of 9-1. Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies, Blue Jays, Tigers, Astros. Those are your division winners when the season ends. There will be no division lead changes this month. And my final prediction for September, we had something happen this weekend. I don't know whether it was this weekend because I don't know, Coca, because I was away. MLB and the union got together and they extended the administrative leave. Hi, my name's David Samson. All right, I'm okay. I'm okay. Stick with me. 19 more minutes. You've got this. We have so much more to talk about. MLB has to have agreement with the union in order to extend a player's administrative leave. You may recall that there are 2 pitchers on leave right now for the Guardians, Clase and Ortiz. You may recall they're on leave. Administrative leave is paid leave because of gambling, because of props, allegedly, potentially. What happens is that under the CBA, administrative leave is agreed upon by both parties. And then after 30 days or any day that you choose, you have to agree to extend it, or the player has to have a disposition. There has to be something happens. You can suspend him, you can drop it, you can restrict him, you can ignore him, but you can't leave a player on the administrative leave list without consent and agreement of the union. Well, the union and Major League Baseball, they do not agree that today is Tuesday. The union and Major League Baseball do not agree that it's partly sunny with a high of 72 degrees today in New York. What they do agree on is the last thing they want to be talking about as October is upon us is anything related to a gambling scandal. So, Major League Baseball and the union have extended the administrative leave of those 2 pitchers, Clase and Ortiz. Guess what? They're not going to talk about it again until the season ends. There will be no further comment or change of status for those 2 this month. I guarantee it. It's in the best interest of the union. It's in the best interest of the commissioner's office to focus on playoffs, baby. No distractions. I want to do some wait to sees with you right now. We follow up on our wait to sees. We tell you we do. We got a couple that I want to revisit. And you can go on davidsamsonpodcast.com and you can go back and hear the original wait to sees. And then today, when I close them down. Do you remember on August 20th, it wasn't long ago, just 12 days ago, we talked about Victor Robles. We're talking about the guy on rehab. Do you remember the Mariner threw a bat? He was at the plate and he got suspended for 10 games. I gave you a wait to see that said, nah, he's going to appeal and that number's going to go down. And I told you that he's going to serve 6 or more games and he's going to drop the appeal. Well, he started his suspension because he agreed to a touchdown. He is sitting out 7 games. Keep in mind what we told you. Rosters are expanded, so they're not playing short without Robles. So it makes sense for him to have dropped the appeal, get the 3 games back, and serve the 7. We got that wait to see right. Now we're going to go back to the future. On March 6th of this year, that's 6 months ago, we were talking about Micah Parsons. 6 months ago. We had to wait to see that Micah Parsons will get paid more money than Crosby. Guess what? He did. Micah Parsons got the most money for any non-quarterback in the entire sport ever. That wait to see, great. March 13th, 2025. Season hadn't started yet. Jacob deGrom, we were talking about him going for the Rangers. The guy's always hurt. This, to me, was a wait to see that was in the bag. Jacob deGrom will start fewer than 25 games. Holy shnikes. deGrom has been unreal, which he's always been. But the difference now, he's healthy. He's pitching every 5 days. I got it wrong. deGrom, more than 25 starts. That's okay. I got it wrong. But I made up for it. May 15th, 2025. We talked about this on the show when the Allen estate sold the Trailblazers. I forgot to check the document, but I checked it because I had 25 hours on a plane without snakes. I said the Trailblazers will sell for more than the Dallas Mavericks. That was an easy one. Got that one right. We talked about that deal. We've talked about Cuban. We've talked about the new owner of the Trailblazers, the guy from Carolina. We've gone through it all. Yes, we knew back in May that the Trailblazers would sell for more than the Mavericks. We have another one. I told you that Andrew Heaney would not be on a playoff roster. I'm not taking the yes or the no yet. Andrew Heaney was designated by the Pirates. Andrew Heaney is now a Dodger. So it is possible. Now, we had to check this because I thought, and I have been misleading you, maybe. We're still checking. We are live right now, and we're checking with our expansive staff of researchers. You have to be on a roster. You have to be on a team in order to be playoff eligible by August 31st. I thought Andrew Heaney signed with the Dodgers on September 1st, in which case he'd be eligible to play for the Dodgers, but not in October. But there's some question right now. Is he playoff eligible? Is he not playoff eligible? If he signed before the deadline, then he is playoff eligible. When's the deadline? Anybody out there? At David P. Samson on Twitter. Get on the voicemail. 631-377-4869. If you know the answer, and somebody listening to this definitely knows the answer because I know you're listening. When did Andrew Heaney sign? And is he now eligible to be on a postseason roster? And even if he is eligible, it doesn't mean I'm going to take the loss of that wait to see. Sorry, folks. The park is still open on that one because playoff rosters, even for the Dodgers, are not going to be set until the day before. So I'm leaving that one be, Coca. I'm leaving it be. You know what else they're going to leave be? The out-of-town scoreboard in Houston. People are so upset about what happened to the Angels player, Taylor Ward. I don't know if you saw the play because it was gross, but Taylor Ward got cut by the chain link fence that is the out-of-town scoreboard at Enron, Minute Maid, now Dakin Park. I don't know if you saw a video of this. The head bleeds. It's gross. That metal scoreboard, I've been on the field in Houston. I've seen it. Yeah, you run into it, you hit it wrong, you go face first. We teach the outfielders. Do yourself a favor because you know what's just as bad as hitting a metal chain link fence? Hitting a concrete wall. Now, we pad the outfield walls, but make no mistake. If you have an opportunity to go touch an outfield wall in the big leagues, there's something that you should know. Hitting it face first, no bueno. Outfielders are taught, I love the effort, don't get me wrong. Knowing where you are on the field It is critical. I am not victim blaming. I'm not victim shaming. But I'm also telling you that there is no chance that they will change the outfield wall, the out-of-town scoreboard, because of what happened to Taylor Ward. Now, he may have a concussion, but they're going to check. We have a wait to see on that, don't we, Coca? I believe when I checked the document over Alaska during turbulence, that there is a wait to see about MLB having a concussion protocol like the NFL and not leaving it in the hands of the team. I do not believe I've read that. I do not believe that it's happened yet. It may be part of a new CBA. But the concept here that the Astros and Angels played each other, and now the Angels are going to check to see whether Taylor Ward, now they're not playing important games despite what they wanted to be doing. Shout out to my main man over in Anaheim. You guys are doing great. Plenty of meaningful games in August and September. No wonder you didn't make deals at the deadline. You wanted your guys to have experience in meaningful games. You nailed it. Poor Ward. After the game, he said, they didn't even give me an exact number of stitches. I'm going to say around 20, somewhere around there. Has anyone ever gotten stitches? Isn't that the first question you ask? How many stitches? Like, you got to know the number. One thing we would say to our team doctor when we're stitching people up, or when I've gotten stitched up, just don't lose track. We don't know how many pitches. We don't know how many stitches. Something else happened yesterday, Coca, that is well worth discussing. Anytime we can say Cowboys, we're going to say Cowboys. Anytime we can say Yankees, we're going to say Yankees. But I don't like just saying Yankees in order to say Yankees, like to feed the algorithm. I like to say Yankees when there's something about the Yankees to discuss. There is no reason Aaron Boone was at the game in North Carolina. No, I'm just kidding. But I do get to talk about Aaron Judge. I don't want to lose track of Aaron Judge's season. The fact that he could win yet another MVP, the fact that he's still somewhat favored. He's in a great MVP race with Cal Raleigh. But something happened over the weekend that was really cool. We're a game of history. It's what we do. The New York Yankees have the greatest history of any team in professional sports. And frankly, it's not even close. And this is not my baseball executive hat that I'm wearing. Tell me a team with a greater history, please. The Packers, they're close, but no. Another baseball team? Who? A football team? Forget about it. Hockey team? Canadians in the conversation. What have they done since 93? Basketball? What are you going to say? The Lakers? Fantastic. In Minnesota? Yeah, whatever. It's the Yankees. And what we do with teams, and we do this with franchises even when they're young. We talked about on today's show with Larry Beinfest. Ricky Nolasco, the franchise leader in wins. Luis Castillo, the franchise leader in games played and hits, etc. Well, the Yankees, they've got a leaderboard that we're all jealous of because they have history. Can you imagine when a leaderboard has on it Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and Yogi Berra? Just think about that. In the history of other franchises, you heard Larry talk about Seattle when they had Alex Rodriguez with Randy Johnson, with Ken Griffey Jr. By the way, Ichiro joined after Larry had left and joined the Expos. But I got to tell you, that list, well, sorry, Yogi, but guess who's on the list now? And I'm talking the home run leaderboard for the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge. He's now on that list. Now, we have no frame of reference. There's no documentary. By the way, the Yogi Berra documentary, which I've reviewed, is outstanding. There is no frame of reference to say that Aaron Judge is Ruth, Mantle, Gehrig, DiMaggio, and Judge. But what if 50 years from now, so we're sitting here in the 2070s, nothing personal is on the air. I'm about $107, and I'm going through the New York Yankee leaderboard, and I'm saying Ruth, Mantle, Gehrig, DiMaggio, and Judge. And the kids who are listening to the show, because we've got 10% of you, are not able to drink yet, which is fantastic. We love the young demographic. But we're talking about kids who are going to be born after Judge retires. Maybe Judge is like a part of that list. But right now, it's just cool. There had not been a change in that home run leaderboard since 1957. That's a long time ago. That's 68 years ago, if you're counting, or if you're alone and you don't have an abacus. And what Aaron Judge did, he's got a chance. And he actually was able to say it. It's why he's the captain of the team. It's why he doesn't get into any trouble. It's why he's a good person on and off the field. He said, when you get a chance to tie one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Yankees in homers, it's pretty special. Judge was talking to The Athletic. He said, the way Yogi played the game, what he meant to the Pinstripes, you know how much it meant being a New York Yankee to him? Well, I feel the same way. This is Aaron Judge talking. I'm honored to wear this jersey. It's pretty cool to be on that list with him. I just think it's amazing that when that happens, I think that players who can recognize history, players who recognize the importance of the jersey they wear, even if it's a new team, just being proud of the jersey you wear, honored to wear a jersey, but there's something about pinstripes, and it's not for everyone, and it doesn't have to be. But Aaron Judge is going to go down in history as one of the greatest Yankees of all time, and we have the honor to watch him play. I still believe to be thought of as Ruth Mantle, Gehrig DiMaggio, you got to have a ring. And I don't think that I've changed my mind, and I'm never going to change my mind. Rings matter. Jewelry matters. Are there great players who don't win rings? Of course there are. There's Hall of Famers who don't win rings. But if you want to be considered one of the best Yankees, you have to have a ring. You can be the best Marlin without a ring. You can be the best Mariner without a ring. You can be the best Cub without a ring, and they've got more than the Mariners and Brewers. Not many more, but a few. But a Yankee, you have to win a ring. The pressure on Aaron Judge to win. We keep talking about Boone. We keep talking about Cashman. Those are the guys with the most pressure. I've told you how badly Giancarlo Stanton wants to win a ring as the tip of and the end of a Hall of Fame career as he approaches 500 home runs. But for Aaron Judge, it is downright critical because to Aaron Judge, it matters. There's plenty of players who make plenty of money and winning, forget it. Pay them the money and they'll be on their way. Plenty of players who are like that. Aaron Judge is not one of them. Aaron Judge knows that his career is not complete without a ring. He can hit as many home runs as he ends up hitting. He can win as many MVPs as he's going to win. He can be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But to Aaron Judge, as he evaluates his career and we evaluate it going forward, you have to win rings. And in order to win rings, you got to start with a ring. Is this the year the Yankees can take the step that they did not take last year when they lost in 5 games to the Dodgers? Are they a better team? Is it possible that they're a better team? Stats would say no. Your eyes would say no. But that's what makes September and then October so special in baseball, because all it takes is to get hot one time over one small stretch and you change your history for good. Aaron Judge is going to get it done. He will not end his career without a ring. And for him, it's just business. He wants to be the best, and he's going to be. We'll be back tomorrow with another Nothing Personal. This is David Samson.